All right, Matt Gouge, get better every day. I've got Jeff Maine on with me today. Before we get started, if you like this podcast, share it with a friend. Do us a favor if you feel inclined, go leave us a review. I'm having fun with this as a passion project, talking to cool people like Jeff from all types of different industries. Jeff, how you doing, man?
I'm doing great, Nat. How are you doing today?
I'm doing good. The sun is shining in California. I'm feeling good and excited to talk to you about a business I don't know a lot about. So maybe let's start there. Tell us who you are, what the heck is
Yeah.
Pay Proudly, and we'll take it from there.
Yeah, so Jeff Maine, we're over on the East Coast, so we're on the opposite side of these states from you guys, but we're also getting that sunny weather, so it's great to start feeling some of that spring weather come in. And yeah, payment processing, it's a big industry. I got involved in this in college, graduated from college, and probably had the best advice I've ever had in my life. My dad sat me down and said, "Hey, you can always go get a job and work for somebody, but right now you don't have any responsibilities, or you're not married, you don't have kids." And he's like, "You've always wanted to start your own business. You should do it now." And I'd kind of dabbled in this space in college, and he's basically just telling me, take the risk right now while you still can. He says, as you get older and you get trapped in these professions, you make just enough money to not be able to take those risks in life. And so that's what I did. I jumped right in. I kind of knew the space, jumped in. We started a company. That was the summer of 1999. And here we are, almost 25 years later, 24 years later, and we're still selling payment processing. We've been through ups and downs. We've built different companies. We've sold companies. We've sold portfolios. We've had a merger that we've brought in partners. We've gotten out of partnerships, and which is all morphed back to Pay Proudly and what you see today and what we'll talk about. But it's been a fun run, and I wouldn't change it for the world. I've learned a lot and had a lot of fun doing it. And we basically offer merchant services to businesses. So any any business out there that needs to take electronic payments outside of cash, from a different point of sale system, or being able to take credit cards on your phone or websites, or just whatever it is, we're able to offer that service. And obviously we have verticals that we really specialize in. We have, that we do a lot of sales in, but we have salespeople that actually go out and market to the masses as well.
Awesome, man. Something I want to pull out of there that you said, which I think is super valuable advice for the Get Better Everyday listener, for everybody, is you've got to recognize when you're in a position in life, generally speaking, when you're young, or there'll be other times where you can take a chance because
Yeah.
I'm only 43. I think we're probably similar in age. I get around people and they start talking about regrets and things they wish they would have
Yeah,
done. Right.
absolutely.
To your point, I'm working with people through, generating some wealth through real estate, and they're trapped in their job. Right. And they can't go
Yeah.
out and take a risk and start a business. So I appreciate you sharing that, because I think it's important for people to realize, sometimes you take a bet on yourself. It's not always going to work. And I'm sure that last 25 years hasn't been a straight line and all
Yeah,
sunshine and
no.
rainbows. The industry's changed, and you've gone through a lot. What I wanted to kind of dig into, because I'm genuinely curious, it feels to me like cash is becoming obsolete. So, an industry like this, um, you know, will continue to evolve. And I
Mhm.
think more people are in need of, even the things that were always cash, getting into my kid's basketball game and things like that. Like,
Yeah.
it's all got to be electronic now. So maybe tell me, over the past 25 years, some things that have gone good for that industry to grow, but I'm sure there's other struggles. Maybe there's competition, other things that have not gone so good.
Yeah, I mean, and we have the saying all the time, right? If it were easy, everybody would do it. And so nothing's easy. And so you're always, and you have to evolve, you have to change. And yeah, you're right. Cash is going away. But what I think a lot of people fail to realize is cash is a big part of cash going away is because of the amount of fraud that's involved in cash. And electronic payments takes that ability for your employees. Employee fraud is the number one fraud in businesses. It's not consumers coming in and stealing from the business. It's employees stealing from the business. And cash just makes it so much easier to steal from the business. And credit cards is all reported. It's all in reporting. It's all there. And so and obviously there's been a ton of change and regulations and security measures and with internet fraud and hackers and so it's an evolving industry. But you know, when we started in 99, you swiped a MasterCard, in 2024, we've got Apple Pay, we've got Chip, we've got Swipe, we've got Key. There's just so much, technology is changing so fast, and you've got to stay on that leading edge. And what is the next thing that's going to happen? Because electronic payments isn't going to go away, but what kind of equipment do we need to take the next form of type of payment that they're coming out with, and where do businesses need to be? Because the last thing a business owner wants, right, is for you to walk in and want to buy something and they can't take your payment. So they've got, those business owners need to be with people like ourselves who are keeping up with the technology as well, that keep them in front of the evolving change in payments.
Yeah, it reminds me too, and I think about looking out at like the business landscape. A lot of mom and pop business owners, baby boomers are
Yeah,
starting to, sell those businesses, and the younger generation comes in and looks at ways to make the business more efficient. In some cases, it's like, man, you guys don't take electronic payment. I was one that, like, my career before mortgage, I worked in a poker room for 10 years. The sweetheart couple, old Yugoslavian immigrants, right, who just did it their old school way,
absolutely.
in a lot of ways, right? So,
Well, great example of that. I have a restaurant here locally that we processed for years, and he had an old fashioned cash register at and people would walk in and order, and I'd tell him every time I was in there. One of my favorite places to go to lunch, and I'd always tell him, like, listen, you know, you don't have to walk that receipt that you're handwriting back to the kitchen. We can send that on a printer, right? And print it. And all these customers don't have to call you on the phone to order. We can do it online. Like there's ways to beat all this. But he was old school. He didn't want to change. But as soon as he got out of the business and his family, son and manager took it over, it was the first thing they wanted to do. They wanted to put a system in that printed tickets in the kitchen and get that cash register out. So, it does take generational change sometimes to change things, but you can run the old way. It's just harder.
right, yeah,
There's
yeah. In
easier
the
ways
spirit,
to
in
do
the
it.
spirit of getting better every day, it's, not because we're trying to, change things and take away control from mom and pop, but
Yeah,
it's more efficient, right? And
just
for
more efficient.
me,
And it doesn't do anything for me because he was still taking his credit cards with us. He just wasn't doing it in an efficient way. We wanted to help his business, but that's how you lose business too. If you don't offer the service, somebody else is going to come in and offer it.
for sure, for sure. So, I'm curious because you mentioned it, and me being kind of, new and not knowing a lot about the space. Pay Proudly,
Yeah,
a company like yours, it's not just payment processing. You're also doing
right.
stuff with technology, and I'm guessing because you talked about receipts going back to the kitchen. What else do you guys do?
Yeah, so PayPal has kind of been just a thought process in the back of my mind as we've been building different credit card companies and different verticals, and we built an ACH company, and we've diversified and sold and done a lot of things. And Proudly was formed with two spots and a mission. I always wanted to get to this point where I opened a company with that was more hands-on approach, right? And so we wrote a mission at the beginning of Pay Proudly, of saying the first part of our mission is just really offering better customer service, and and just bringing customers a level of really understanding their payments that they don't understand them today. And it's become a thing of sales guys walk in the door and they sell you something and they walk out and they never talk to you again. And it's a big deal in our industry. And so that was super, super important to us, to have a very hands-on approach and really learn your business. How are you taking payments? What are you doing? Because we understand it, and let us help you take payments the correct way. If that involves a software system, or if it involves your techs being out on and taking credit cards on telephones, or if it involves a point of sale system, whatever, let us make some recommendations and lead you down the path that will help your business. And so we really wanted that. We know you, you know us. So we have a part of our values and our vision. We touch our merchants every quarter, right? So we want every one of our merchants to hear from us some way, somehow, quarterly, of saying, how are things going? What are you seeing? What are you hearing? What do you need help with? You know, and then the second part of our mission, where Pay Proudly comes into effect, is my wife and I really wanted to start a company with a give back. It was just something that was important to us. We never thought it was going to turn into what it's turned into. It was a value to my wife and I, and we just wanted a company with a foundational give back, right? So from the very first dollar we made, we want to take 10% of everything we make, and we want to support nonprofits through the transactional business that we're doing. And we want to give credit to our business owners for that, because without them, we're not able to do it, right? So we let our business owners tell us what charities are important to them, what causes are important to them, and we support those causes through those transactions. And what's happened is we get employees now that want to work for us because of that giving. We have merchants that sign up with us because of what we're doing, and that becomes a bigger topic of conversation than our sales do, and then our rates and our numbers and our systems. Everybody wants to know about our giving and what we're doing over here. And it's interesting to me, because that wasn't the intent. The intent was, this is important to us and let's form a company around it. But it's become our talking point because it's so important to so many people.
Yeah, I can imagine that positive cycle too, where like, you know, the local community sees that, like, you know, they're partnered with you using Pay Proudly. They're supporting that local charity, you know, through you giving a portion of proceeds to them. And so it drives more business to them, right? More business
Right.
to them, more
Yeah.
payment processing, more proceeds, more goes to the charity. And that's a really cool business model, and just a great thing for communities. I would imagine too that when you go in, how many merchants are you serving? How many people do you guys have?
Yeah, we're about 2 years into Pay Proudly right now, and we're over 500 merchants that we're serving. And we're going to build to probably a few thousand, 3,000. It's hard to tell today where our intent was never to go and build a massive company. Our intent was to stay very small and nimble, but offer a very high level of service. I always said I wanted less than 10 employees, like I want to build a business with less than 10 people. And, that's kind of always been our intent. And so we're, and some merchants will say to them, hey, you just don't fit our of who we are, and so we turn down business sometimes because we're very select. We want to make sure we're able to do for businesses what we need to do. And there's some businesses that just aren't at that level yet that we can offer that level of service, and it's worth it to them. So we're not really, it's more about volume to me. We want volume driven businesses.
Right, right. Yeah. It's interesting too, because, your perspective is like, we're small, only 500, and we might grow to 2 or 3,000, but still, like, that's a lot of data and a lot of best practices that you guys are able to see. And maybe you guys do this, maybe you don't. Just the thought crossed my mind. You come into a new business that might not understand, how to do things. And you just tell them, listen, like, this isn't me making up what I think works well. I've seen it work well in 500 other businesses. And you can
Absolutely.
help them, like you talked about with the, ticket going back to the kitchen. Is that part of your guys's, product mix, I guess, is just a little bit of a
Yeah, I
cross?
mean, we have, restaurant, type of point of sales. In the beginning, we would actually go into restaurants and install big point of sales. We've gotten out of that because we found that it was just more labor intensive than works for us. So now we have partners that do that. Because we really want to be more focused on the payment side of it and let everybody that do what they do best in those businesses. But we have software packages, like we're big in the dental market. We do a lot with dental offices, and we have a software that integrates to, there's 3 major dental platforms that that run dental practices, and we're integrated to all three of those. And then we do a ton of, you think about mom and pop businesses that use just the old fashioned credit card machines. We sell a ton of that stuff. And we have a lot of, home service businesses that we're setting up that are out on the road, and they just need to take credit cards on their telephone, right? And just a simple setup that's super easy. And we do all of that. We do a lot of, web stuff, from recurring billing and invoicing and that kind of stuff. So we try to get specialized in certain products, but then, if you're just a business that just wants to take credit cards, it's super easy for us to have the correct product for you.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. It's always interesting to me to look at, different businesses, and so, a question that I have, just because I'm genuinely curious too.
Yeah.
Somebody swipes their credit card, right?
Yep.
And it's a uh, restaurant that's signed up with Pay Proudly. Your guys' job is to make sure that that restaurant can take the payment, right? Because if they can't take the payment, then it's not a
Yes.
customer. Then on the back end, is it a matter of making sure that you're, collecting that payments and tracking and giving the business owner some sort of, ledger? Does it integrate to QuickBooks, or how does that back end work?
Yeah, so we're approving that transaction, right? So we're riding the rails of these big banks, right? So we've got the TSYS's and the Synovus's and the big banks back there, Wells Fargo, and that we're connected to, right? So when that business takes that credit card, we're approving it or declining it. We're throwing it into a batch, and at the end of the day, we're going to batch all those transactions that business took for the day, and we're going to deposit that batch of money into the business owner's bank account. So with credit cards comes fees, right? So there's all the card issuers, and the card issuing banks are who sets those fees. People think it's MasterCard and Visa. It's really not. It's the card issuing banks that are setting those fees and the interchange rates and categories. And there's hundreds of different categories. If you pull your credit cards out of your wallet, you can go to the same location but use different types of credit cards, and the business owner pays a different fee. If they're set up paying interchange, they're paying a different fee for each of those different types of credit cards. Now if they're set up on a flat rate, they pay the same no matter what. But then the card issuer, the processors behind the scenes, are still, the cost of those different credit cards is different, okay, for the same transaction. But basically, those fees come out at the beginning of the month for last month's processing, and that's how that's what the businesses get charged. It's a big sticking point with business owners, obviously, with what they have to pay in rates and fees, right? It's a big deal. It's a lot of money. That you're talking businesses are paying anywhere from 2 to we've seen businesses paying as high as 5%, which is just crazy. They should not be paying that high of processing fees. But in today's world, there are a lot of changes in that world around the ability for business owners now to pass fees to the consumer for credit cards. And basically and MasterCard and Visa are tightening that up. They're changing it. It came out where you could just charge a fee. Now they're saying, okay, there's 2 different ways you can do it. They have one way that says it's a surcharging program, that we can basically surcharge a credit card, but not a debit card. And so you go to the same business. If you swipe your credit card, it's going to add a 3% fee. If you use your debit card, it's not going to add a fee. And we can tell in that machine what type of credit card's being accepted, right? And so we're going to add or not add that fee. And that's called a surcharge environment. The other way businesses are avoiding credit card fees is they're coming out, and we can do this on equipment. We can do it on phones. We can do it on point of sales, but what's called dual pricing, right? So we're giving a cash price and a credit price. And so that's like if you go to the gas station today, you'll see the sign flips, right? You got a credit price and you have a cash price, and that's called dual pricing. So you're giving the customer the option of a credit or a cash price, and they're telling you what that option is. They're giving you both options. So if you want to spend, use it on a credit card, you're going to pay the credit price, which is offsetting and eliminating the fees that these merchants are paying in credit cards. You're going to see that more and more and more and more as time goes on.
Okay. Yeah, that was going to be my follow-up question, is what do you see, 3 years, 5 years from now, having 25 years experience? What's what's the future of it going to look like?
Yeah, I mean, definitely business owners doing what they can to eliminate the fees they're paying. They're gonna, you're gonna see more and more surcharging. You're gonna see more and more, dual pricing environments. And you're also going to see more and more software packages that are really geared towards certain vertical businesses, right? That has credit card processing integrated into it. Now, those products, to be a good product, are going to have to offer surcharging and dual pricing within the product, right? Within that software. But you're going to constantly see new software packages that are going after, they're going to write a software package that really goes after an interior decorator and the ability for them to design a room and design the proper furniture and create an invoice and give a cash and a credit price from that application. You're going to see more and more of that type of stuff that businesses are going to really get vertically motivated and really give a product that's hammers on that vertical space and it answers the problems that they're having.
Awesome, man. Yeah. Fascinating stuff. Is it like, I got a couple final questions. I'll let you go. I
Yeah.
appreciate your time today. Apple Pay and those type of things, those have fees in the back end too?
Absolutely. So that's just like using your credit card in the establishment, right?
Okay.
So you're just storing that credit card on your phone and you're paying with Apple Pay. So it's basically just a business having the ability with the proper equipment to accept Apple Pay.
Okay. And then state by state, does it
Yep.
vary like what the back end charge the credit card companies are?
So it doesn't regulate, state by state doesn't have any regulation on interchange. Interchange is nationwide. It's set by the card issuers for everybody. But different states do have different rules when it comes to surcharging and dual pricing. So some of your states like New York, they have some more strict rules around that. But the majority, there's only 3 or 4 states that are kind of tightening up on that. The majority of states, it's all the same.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
As a, person with an entrepreneurial mind, I work with small business owners all the time, and, I'm in California. I won't
Yeah.
say any more on that because I don't want to. I
Yeah.
don't want to knock California, but they don't make it easy.
Yeah, that's right.
So
There's
yeah.
certain
Thanks for your time.
states that have more regulations. Let's just call it that.
Cool, man. Well, I appreciate your time today, Jeff. Pay Proudly. If someone wanted to get a hold of you, where could they find you?
Yeah, go out and check out, payproudly.com. Email is jmaine. It's spelled just like the state, MAINE at payproudly.com. And we'd love to have conversations with your listeners. We'd just love to talk to them, whether we help them and point them in a direction of helping their process and they stay with who they're with, or if they move over their business over to us. But we can do statement analysis. We can do proposals for people. We can turn that stuff around very quickly. And worst case scenario, we saved your listeners money and they don't do business with us, which is absolutely fine. We want to help business owners make the right decisions and be with the right partners. It's really important to us, and for them not to be in a situation of being taken advantage of by their credit card fees. And we see that day after day.
I can imagine. Are you guys nationwide?
We're nationwide.
Sweet. All right.
Yep.
Jeff Maine, Pay Proudly. Thanks, brother. I appreciate you.
Yep. Thank you, Matt.